I don't think there is a serious power struggle as some people try to project that there has been a lot of rumors since the beginning of Xi Jinping's presidency and being the leader of the Communist Party and the military committee in the Communist Party, that there are people who disagree with him and his anti-corruption purchase are going too far, so there will be backlash. And so far, that I don't see any sign that Xi Jinping long march to his total control of the party and the country will be in doubt. And the underlying reason is that from a perspective of the Chinese elite, even Chinese elite that don't necessarily agree with everything he's doing, their vested interest is to maintain the stability of the system. If they really coalesce to undermine his authority or even try to take him down, that they would fear a chain reaction that destabilize the CCP control of the country, and then in the end that their own interest will be hurt. And so far as the elite has this kind of backdoor to move their family and property overseas to keep it in safe place, I don't think they will have a serious incentive to conspire to take out Xi Jinping power. So it is why in the last 10 years we see the kind of a Xi Jinping power keep expanding without serious backlash.
Xi Jinping's march to total control, what implications does that have on the region, in particular to Taiwan and to Hong Kong and other areas that have been in the news recently?
Yeah, definitely. That Xi Jinping march of total control is something that is structurally determined. It is not like his personality prefer that, because like in the beginning of his leaderships in China, that he really showed some signs of instilling more market reform. For example, there has been talk about the surprise side structural reform of the economy and loosening up the state control of the market and things like that. But it didn't work well, and then he moved back to this Hu Jintao Wenjiabao era of like expanding, keeping the state sector strong, and then facilitate the continuous expansion at the expense of the private sector. So it has something to do with the structural problem of the Chinese economy, that the economy has been slowing down. The contradiction, the social problem that accumulated over the years is not abating. So the party feel the urge to enhance its control of the society, to make sure that this problem won't spill into a kind of a crisis of its governance. So Xi Jinping is basically carried away by these forces to exert total control, larger control of the society. And definitely that one playbook is to enhance the nationalist sentiments among the people. So even though the economy is slowing, is not as prosperous as before, the party can still tell the people that China is strong in the world stage, can actually defy the interests and the opinion of a big power like the United States. So it is why one reason why it did what it did over Hong Kong and Taiwan and its periphery, becoming more assertive. So nationalism is definitely lead to be on the rise to keep the CCP a legitimate governing force in China, given the economic slowdown. So I don't see this trend is going to abate in the years to come.
So even with the Xi Jinping third term, after he secures his power, you don't see this trend abating, in particularly with Hong Kong, Taiwan, and other regional areas and countries.
From the 1980s to the 1990s, particularly in the 1990s, after the end of Cold War and after 1989, the Tiananmen massacre, the CCP source of legitimacy among these people is rapid economic growth. So double-digit economic growth for a long time, and everybody, even though there's inequality and all problem, and people can always look forward to a kind of a rising tide of the economy that lift up everybody. So this expectation is like give the people's hope and expectation, and then keep the legitimacy of the CCP strong among the people. But now with the slowdown that actually started long before the COVID, that the slowdown actually started around 2010 and 2011, they try all kind of means to jumpstart the economy again to back to a the high speed growth, but it didn't work out, and it keeps slowing down and slowing down. And now the property sector crisis and all these economic problems. So the CCP need to find a new source of legitimacy. And nationalism is, of course, a kind of a very convenient alternative source of legitimacy.
How do you feel Taiwan should deal with this rising nationalism, given that many analysts say it is the number one target for Xi Jinping and the CCP?
Yeah, definitely. That Taiwan need to be vigilant, but at the same time, don't need to panic. Many people talk about Ukraine comparability to Taiwan, but one thing that Ukraine-Russia relation is very different from Taiwan-China relation is that Russia is a very militaristic power. It was engaged in major military intervention overseas over the years, even after the Cold War. There was the Russian invasion of part of Georgia, and then Russian intervention into the civil war in Syria, and all end up in a kind of a Russian triumph and victory over. So it is this overconfidence that make Russia make the move to have an outright invasion of Ukraine. While China has been much less militaristic than today's Russia. That the last time China engaged in a major military intervention overseas and mobilization is the war with Vietnam in 1979. And the last time the PLA has a major military mobilization is 1989, which is against its own people. So I don't think the CCP, if they are cautious and rational, would feel that they are confident enough to have an all-out invasion over Taiwan. And at the same time, now with the whole world finding the China aggressiveness in the region and in the world very difficult to swallow, and then the whole world is behind Taiwan now. That so that Taiwan got the support that it is unprecedented level. That not only Japan, but also U.S., Europe, and Australia, they're all becoming more and more committed in aiding Taiwan in building up its defense. And of course, in the end, it is up to the Taiwan people and the Taiwan government to show up its defense and deterrence against any invasion. But now the international environment for Taiwan is very good, and it hasn't been that good for a long time.